everyone, and welcome to Kansas Speedway, as tonight we prepare for the Kubota Tractor 200, the last race of the first round of the Craftsman Truck Series. Now, of course, I'm Tim Moore here from Motorsports today, and we'll be covering action all weekend long. But the last race we were covering the Truck Series, it was the regular season finale. Tonight, again, the first round finale for the Craftsman Truck Series. Both Ben Rhodes as well as Daniel Dye below the cut line. Grant Enfinger right tight on that cut. It's going to be interesting. As you can see, stuff blowing around me. It's going to be a very windy evening, and wind blowing inward out of turn 4. Granted, this isn't a super speedway like Atlanta, but these trucks tend to go near wide open at times around the high side early on the run. I would expect the wind to play a huge factor tonight. But before that, the ARCA Menard Series getting ready to go green. Isabella Robusto on pole. That should be a very fun watch. Of course, William Swalich pretty much sealed the deal last week, but a lot of time, it feels, still left in this ARCA Menard Series. So eager to see what will happen here this afternoon.
Welcome to the Motorsports Today content dump from our coverage of Kansas Speedway NASCAR Fall Weekend 2024. I'm Eddie Kalegi. Tim Moore was in attendance for all 4 races, starting with ARCA, which was won by Tanner Gray, a regular in the Truck Series. Here's Tim's conversation with the winner.
Redemption here this evening in Kansas. Obviously, didn't get the result you wanted earlier in the year, but you come back and you get some revenge. Just how much does this win mean to you and Joe Gibbs here this evening?
Yeah, it means a lot. We knew coming in, they just won the championship with William, and I felt pretty confident they had the owner's championship locked up. So we came in and we were able to race and just have fun, and it was I've had a really fun day with them. Every weekend I've got to be with them. I've been in really fast cars that have had the opportunity to win, and I felt like I have given up some of them at the end. So to be able to close it out feels really good.
And I'm just wondering, did you cut the tire when you made the transition onto the apron, because the camera didn't really show?
No, the tire, I believe, got cut with the contact with the 22, and then just kind of had a slow leak, and then finally gave up there. But really fortunate for it to give out when it did.
And one last question. Obviously, you're going to race in the Truck Series here in a little bit. The conditions, a little bit windy. Anything you could take from this race, at least going into the truck race here, starting to mid-pack this evening?
Maybe some track trends and stuff, and then overall just laps on the racetrack, I think, always helps. Seems to help fire off better, builds confidence, stuff like that. So, there's some different stuff that I figured out.
After ARCA, it was on to that Craftsman Truck Series race under the lights at Kansas to eliminate a pair of playoff drivers. The two who fell short, playoff rookie Daniel Dye, and the reigning series champion Ben Rhodes for ThorSport, who was ousted from playoff competition. Rajah Caruth advanced, though, with a top 10 finish, and Layne Riggs, although not in the playoffs, continued his hot streak with a strong second-place run. They both spoke with Tim after the proceedings.
Rajah, solid run tonight. You guys end up advancing to the next round. Kind of bring me through your night. I know you guys hit the wall early and kind of had to battle through. What kind of day did you guys have to go through there? I mean, it seemed chaotic in that first stage.
Yeah, it stepped out on me. I was really surprised to be that free to start the race, but more knows kind of for the next time we come back here to Kansas. I think both times here at Spire I've just been really loose at the start of races and got adjusted to it throughout the night, but overall just really proud of my group and thankful for what they've done for me and HendrickCars.com, Ally, Team Chevy, and Spire. So Talladega and see how we should go.
Playing a V2 here tonight, you continue the run of great performances. I mean, it's not the win ideally you were looking for, but at the end of the day, I know you mentioned your lack of experience coming to these tracks. I mean, how proud are you of the result here this evening?
I am. That's probably the happiest I've ever been finishing second before. It doesn't sting at all. I got a big smile on my face. It was good to race with those guys that are really strong up front. The 11 had a great race. Congrats to them boys. We know we raced pretty hard at Bristol last weekend, and he was definitely better than us today by a long shot. So, great job by them. And we did a good, solid job tonight. Learned a lot. And just racing with those guys, you're able to just understand and learn so much more than you are when you run 15th and 20th all day. You just feel like you're in a hornet's nest the whole time. So, great testament to my team. I think this really just shows the consistency of our program getting better at every style racetrack. I'm really excited for these races coming up.
But nobody could stop Corey Heim, who sure looks like the championship favorite, picking up his 6th win of the season.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Corey, congrats on the win. At the start of the race, you were passing cars almost like they were standing still. I mean, in the first 12 laps, you passed 22 trucks on the track. I mean, that's got to be really, really fun for you, considering you had to start in the back with everything considered.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a blast. You're always a little bit nervous that someone's going to slip up and wipe you out, but I knew once we had that issue in practice and we had to go behind the wall and not qualify, starting at the tail of the field, it was tough. And then, like I said, just being nervous with those guys slipping up or maybe making a mistake in front of you. But I had a lot of confidence in our speed, and I knew that if we could keep it clean, we'd be up front in no time. So typically we don't qualify super well in the intermediates, but we race very, very well. So I'm kind of used to having to navigate and get through the field, but, maybe not that far back, but, certainly not anything I'm not used to.
And I'm just wondering, a lot of guys said that they were surprised in how loose they were in that first stage. How did you feel individually with your truck?
Yeah, this track seems to change a lot compared to most as far as weather dependency and how it changes your balance as the sun goes down and whatnot. So I knew that it was going to free up. I think we did the right things. We may have overfreed it a little bit to start the race, but overall, we kind of intended on that happening, and I think that's just experience at the end of the day. Maybe a new crew chief or a new driver won't kind of expect that, but I think this is my third fall Kansas race, maybe even fourth fall Kansas race in the truck series. So that experience really pays off and things like that.
Then it was on to Saturday, which meant not just the Xfinity Series race, but the NASCAR Cup Series media bullpen. On this occasion, just the 12 playoff drivers were made available, but so too was Dillon, who raced in the Truck Series earlier this year and is heading back to the Cup Series full-time in 2025 for Kaulig Racing. Tim Moore caught up with him about this new opportunity.
You've had a couple races this year with Kaulig where you've had solid performances. Well, did that play any added value for next year?
I don't think it hurts to run good when you get your opportunities. I think if we would have ran really bad, the conversation would have been different. So I'm proud of those opportunities. I think here in Kansas is going to be another one. We were really solid in practice. Going out early and qualifying is really a detriment. I think we've seen it all year. This qualifying system is really tough. It's important to go out a little bit later. But we'll make the most of it. We've been battling that kind of uphill battle in all these races and come out pretty solid, so hopefully we'll do it here at Kansas.
Friday night also saw the second career Truck Series start for Corey Day, who has a sprint car racing background. While he crashed with Matt Mills late in the race, Kyle Larson had high praise for him and actually compared him to himself.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can look at my first few truck starts and really like Homestead, I think, I wrecked the field, pulling a similar move. So I think though when you're young and don't come from a stock car background, you got to learn a lot. And I think, that was really his first time being in different aero situations. So I'm sure he took a lot away from the day yesterday and will be, you have a better understanding of kind of how to position your car and how to, take runs or not take every run, stuff like that. So he's obviously got an extreme amount of talent, and I think he's got a lot of hype, but at the same time, he's so new to stock cars that he is really learning and having to learn quickly. So I'm excited to kind of see how he progresses, and as he understands the car more, I think you'll see less mistakes, probably less over aggression. And look at me, I'm 12 or so years into stock car racing, and I still make those moves, and sometimes they work out, a lot of times they don't. But
Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Tyler Reddick were the three favorites heading into the playoffs, and all had lackluster opening rounds. They were all heading to a track they were good at, though, in Kansas Speedway. Here's what Reddick had to say about resetting after the round of 16.
Tyler, I'm just wondering, from a technical standpoint, does it make it a lot easier knowing that that wild card race doesn't start the round and that you can kind of approach just a normal race to start this first or second round?
I think it can. It depends on where you're at. I think if you're below the cut line, if Talladega was the first race in the round, you're just trying to just have a really solid day, and then you can kind of manage and run your own race a little bit more at the next two if they're not speedway races. But at the end of the day, they all pay the same amount of points, the same amount of potentials out there to be had or lost every single race weekend. So, I think when you look at it on a calendar, right, if next year it was the opening race of the round of 12, I'm sure people be like, oh boy, that's going to be a stressful day. But anytime you go speedway racing, so much can happen in such a short amount of time that you're just kind of on the edge of your seat, if you will, throughout the whole race, just hoping that you can get out of there with a race car that's clean and leaves the way that it came to the racetrack.
With some surprising eliminations after the round of 16, most notably Martin Truex Jr. and Brad Keselowski, it paved the way for some underdogs to qualify for the round of 12. Austin Cindric and Daniel Suarez both made it through and had deep runs in the playoffs 2 years ago. They spoke about what it'll take to continue their hot streaks.
Where are you feeling mentally now, and what do you have to do in this round to continue that momentum to get to that championship, or I should say the round of 8, but push towards the championship?
Yeah, I mean, not to give you an exceptionally boring answer, but my mentality is, about the same as what it's been, from my streak of worst Cup races. So, it's hard to say. I mean, trusting the process, trusting the team, and trusting things got you here as far as what gets us to the next round. I feel like we at the bare minimum have to do exactly what we did the past round. Even from a number standpoint, that backs up that statement that that'll probably be the minimum amount of points gained that I'll need to be able to make it to the round of 8.
And over the stretch, what is it that you've learned really that's kind of helped your success?
It's 3 races, pretty small data point. It was a struggle, but yeah, I mean, luckily we built a cushion in the first couple of races and we're able to be okay. But that's not the way that we wanted things to go in Bristol. Hopefully, it can be more smooth and more consistent in this round. I believe that we can do that. I'm pretty confident with the cars that we were able to work on this week for Kansas. Talladega, already, as we all know, anything can happen. And the Robo.
Another driver who impressed in the opening round was Alex Bowman, who scored points in all 6 stages and had a worst finish of 18th. Bowman spoke about how he continues the momentum and how he's working with his other 3 teammates who are all still in the postseason.
This isn't your first rodeo in the playoffs, of course. From an organizational standpoint, do things change? Is there more collaboration between all 4 teams once you get to playoff time?
I don't know. I feel like, we operate at a pretty high level all year. It's obviously you try to bring your best stuff and do everything the best you can, but spec parts, right? So your best stuff is the same. So it's, I don't know that much really changes. Definitely a higher level of intensity, but that's about it.
And last round, you guys focused on the stage points early on in the round. I imagine that's going to be the same approach considering you start below the cut this time around. But does it make it easier from a standpoint that you're going to start at Kansas as compared to Atlanta like last round in Talladega, which would be next race?
I think it's all the same, right? Like, I think you just have to operate at a high level every week, and everywhere we go has the same opportunity for points. So, I think this round plays out really well for us, probably better racetracks than the previous round for me personally, and hopefully we can just continue to operate at a high level.
Kansas might be the first traditional track in the playoffs, but it's not easy, especially when it comes to loose versus tight. Christopher Bell explains.
Earlier you mentioned about high commitment and qualifying. I'm just wondering, balance-wise, what do you look to get out of your car every time you come here, considering wind could also come into play at times?
It is tough. It is so tough. With the amount of throttle and the amount of speed that you have here at Kansas, you can't be too tight and you cannot be too loose. So, I don't know. Balance it's a funny thing because it's a really tight window of being too tight, being too loose, or being perfect. And the better drivers have that window opened up, right? The worst drivers have it closed down. So the whole key is being able to manipulate your car if you are a little bit one way or the other, and still be able to carry the speed you need through the corners.
It was on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series as they began their postseason, and it wasn't a good start for Justin Allgaier, who crashed out early. Allgaier explains what happened.
Did you kind of tell what happened?
No, I don't know. I just know that it took off in a hurry. And the worst part is, we're sliding forever. And I just couldn't get the thing to not stop sliding. I don't know. I'm going to go back and study the film and figure out what I could have done better. Trying to miss the inside wall, but just a really frustrating couple of weeks. I mean, it just... I don't know that I've ever had a stretch like this in my career.
It was a thrilling battle late between Aric Almirola, Cole Custer, and Chandler Smith. Smith hoped he could hold him off, but he couldn't.
Do you feel there's anything you could have done better towards the end of the race to maybe stay ahead of the 20 or stay ahead of the 00 there towards the end?
No, they were both better. I just need more front turn, and we didn't have it. So just trying to hold them off as long as I can.
How hard was that challenge at turn 4, keeping the 00 not get to your outside? It looked like a challenge.
It was. He said, my spotter, I think, said 19 or 18 to go, and I've been doing it already for like 8 laps. And I was like, man, can it just be white flag? I feel like the fans will get their money's worth if this is the show they have for the finish here. So
No, it was definitely difficult for sure.
Another storyline of the race was Austin Hill's contact with Riley Herbst. Hill took full responsibility for what happened.
So I really wasn't paying attention to where the 98 was on the racetrack, and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm trying to get up in line really tight behind the 98 because I was going to try to block the 18 because I knew the 18 had a run. Obviously, it's coming to the stage end for points, and every point matters. So right as I looked down, I hit him like as I looked down and turned him across my nose. It was 100% my fault, and he was mad. Obviously, after the race, came up, behind me there, and so as soon as we stopped here, I let him get all of his stuff off, and I just went to show how sorry I was, and that if he had something coming for me down the road, I completely understand. And he said he didn't, but Riley and I, we've always raced each other very clean, very well. Him and I work really well together, like on the super speedways and everything. So hopefully it doesn't hurt our friendship going forward, and how we work together on the racetrack. But bummer deal that it happened to somebody like Riley. I really admire him a lot.
Two other drivers impressed in the playoff opener. Connor Zilisch getting a top 5 in just his second career Xfinity Series start, while Sheldon Creed started off the playoff strong. They both spoke with Tim Moore after the race.
How did you feel on the restarts here today? Because obviously this is the first time on the bigger track having to deal with those situations.
Yeah, it stacked up off 2 a little more than I was expecting, and it was a lot of fun. Just I went 3 wide there. I took it 3 wide one time. I saw Parker trying to take me 3 wide, so I took them 3 wide, and just trying to learn as much as I can, do things. But yeah, it was aggressive. These guys raced for the championship, and I was trying to be as respectful as I could to just gain respect from these guys because I'm still so young and have a long time left in the series.
So Sheldon, the P5 here today, you get some good points today, big picture, and continue those results of good runs, but what did you feel you needed there towards the end to give yourself a chance to race with your teammates for the win?
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to look at the leaderboard for playoff points. I don't know, I just needed short run speed, really. I mean, after 25, 30 laps, I feel like we were, pretty good and competitive, so yeah, just need to work on our short run. We've struggled with that a little bit all week on our mile and a half stuff, or not a week, all year on our mile and a half stuff, so we're just going to keep trying to improve that, and we have good long run speed, so we just need to figure out what I need in the car and go fast on the short run.
Now, of course, in the truck race, we saw a lot of guys be loose throughout the day. We saw a lot of guys on engine the opening laps. How were you at the start of the race, and were you surprised at how loose it was for some guys?
Yeah, at the start of the race, I was tight, loose off, and I seen a lot of guys sliding around, so it was weird today. Like, if you got the tire hot or slipped it good once, like, you paid for it for the next 5 to 10, so yeah, just trying to be smart about that, and there was carnage, I feel like, everywhere, so just surviving the day like we did was great.
But nobody was stopping Aric Almirola, who went to victory lane for Joe Gibbs Racing in his first season after concluding his Cup Series full-time career. Could there be more full-time racing on the horizon for him?
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Aric, I just have a question, because you keep on mentioning scratching that itch. If Joe Gibbs came to you and said down the road, I want you to race full-time next season, maybe would you reconsider that option, or?
That woman right there behind you would probably strangle me. Yeah, I don't think that's in the cards. Yeah, I'm really happy with where I'm at in life. Did I achieve all the things I wanted to achieve? No, but at the end of the day, there's so much more to life that, there's so many things that mean more than winning races and winning championships. And so I'm happy with where my life's at. I love my family, and taking my family back on the road, the grind of 38 weeks a year and constantly living out of a motorhome and suitcases and airplanes and all the stuff is, I don't feel like that's in my future. I'm happy to help if they need me to help, if they need me to fill in here and there, which, I've been signed up to do that this year on a reserve basis. But yeah, I don't see any way for Janice or the kids to give me the green light on going back full-time racing.
Eventually Sunday came, and it was time for the NASCAR Cup Series. Here's how Tim Moore set the stage.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today, coming to you here from Kansas Speedway, as it's the main event here at Kansas Speedway for the Hollywood Casino 400, presented by ESPN Bet. Again, The round of 12, it's beginning very similar to what we saw in the round of 16, but the more predictable track starts off this round. This weekend, it's been dominated by Toyota. Of course, we found ourselves with Corey Heim winning the truck race and Aric Almirola winning the Xfinity race. But boy, oh boy, is it going to be exciting here this afternoon. As you could tell based on my pass, it's not shaking out left and right. What does that mean? Well, there's practically no wind, and Riley, even behind the camera, you point out coming to the track today, hardly any wind at all. So very interesting to see how these cars will handle throughout the first two races. We saw a lot of guys loose out of turn 4, and while I expect that to be the same today, I would feel the handling effects are going to be very, very different from what we saw at the start of this weekend. But with that being said, Christopher Bell on pole, he talked about qualifying. You saw that on TikTok as well as on Twitter about commitment. I'm very excited to see what he has. But the car behind me, I think that's going to be the most exciting to watch here. Daniel Suarez, he talked about needing to perform here this weekend. He was very surprised by his result at Bristol. Felt like he had a very good car. But overall for Daniel Suarez, heavy expectations. He believes he can make the round of 12 or advance through the round of 12 into the round of 8. He feels that the car is very, very strong this weekend, and practice, and we talked to him before practice, really made that evident as he was in the top 3 in overall speeds in that first practice. So needless to say, we'll have more coverage as the day progresses, but stick with us right here in Motorsports Today. I'm Tim Moore. Hollywood Casino 400 weekend. It's gonna be exciting.
It was a thrilling race with several drivers in the mix for the win, including multiple who weren't competing in the playoffs. One of those is Kyle Busch, who's still looking to continue that streak of 20 straight years with a Cup Series win. The winless streak continued, though, with a tough finish after spinning when he almost made contact with the lapped car of Chase Briscoe. Busch on what happened.
Back in the old days, when you were under 30 to go or whatever it was, lap traffic would kind of lay over and give you a lane, and let the leaders race. And I wasn't getting that, and so I tried to force my hand to get that and get to his outside. And when I did, just for some reason, whatever happened, it just gave all the air in all the wrong place and spun out.
It was another good points day for Alex Bowman. He spoke with Tim Moore about how it went, where it went wrong on the final restart, and how he builds going forward.
Prior, where you were behind Martin, you made the middle working down around him, so were you just not expecting him to take off as well from the lead, considering you'd done it twice prior?
Yeah, I mean, I guess closer you get to the front, it's a little more difficult. And yeah, we were able to fill the middle a lot throughout the course of the day. And honestly, we just had really good restarts throughout the course of the day. So yeah, that one didn't work out. Really, the last two didn't work out perfectly, but that's part of racing. That's what makes Cup racing so hard. And this time of year, restarts on intermediate tracks, you gotta be super aggressive, and just couldn't get it done there.
And after this, now you're 8 points above the cut. Last year, you were in position to win Dayton. Of course, now you got that first stage win of the season here today. What do you got to do next week to get it done? Because you've had excellent super speedway runs, really, I would say, since last summer.
Yeah, definitely. We've had really good super speedway cars with Hendrick Motorsports, and obviously Talladega is what it is. We just need to focus on the things that we can control, and the rest kind of is just part of racing. So yeah, focus on the things that we can do and go from there.
Like Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. was also in prime position for the maiden win of his season and potentially the last of his career, but messed up the final crucial restart. Truex explains where he went wrong.
What did it feel to be running up there in the front like that?
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, we've run in the front a lot. We just haven't finished there, so it's good to finish one out and get what we deserve for once. So that was always good, and we'll keep working hard to be better from here.
James mentioned you guys hadn't been getting what you wanted on restarts all day. Is there anything that you could have maybe done better, or do you just feel it was all in the setup coming there towards the end?
I mean, I definitely could have done better on that last one, but overall, our car was too tight on restarts all day, and that was kind of what bit us at the end there.
Christopher Bell had some missteps too. He's still plus on the cut line, but 2 contacts with the wall in consecutive stages that he could have won cost him some valuable points.
Top 10 today, given that you didn't hit the wall twice, it's still a nice recovery. Or you guys feel like it's another missed opportunity at Kansas?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know how the race would play out, but certainly me driving it in the wall and giving up all that track position, it didn't help our day. So we got out of here with a pretty decent finish, but definitely left a little bit on the table.
Or is it just getting too close to the wall that led to him, or was it like Aero being behind other cars that led to both?
Well, the first, I don't know, the first one, I haven't seen it, but I felt like I just got, a little loose getting in the corner. These things are pretty aero sensitive. I don't know where the 24 was. He was obviously, trying to get by me there. So I got loose getting in the first time. And then the second time, just trying to make a run on Alex and drove it right in the wall.
Big picture, you're still 28 points above the cut line going into Dega. Does that make things a little bit more relaxing for you next week, knowing that you have a bit of a gap?
It does. I mean, it goes away quick, so I'm glad that we made some points on the cut line. From what I saw, there were a couple guys that are way beyond or way back on the cut line, which is good, but the points go away really, really fast if you don't perform, so the pressure's always on.
But everything came up watermelon in this one as Ross Chastain got his first victory since last year's finale at Phoenix in what's been a rough year for Trackhouse, with Chastain missing the playoffs. His crew chief, Phil Surgen, spoke about their approach.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Phil, I just want to reiterate on a question that was asked you right before this. Did you say anything to Ross after he had gotten the lead, then hit the wall, just trying to get him back on track there to get his mind reset to battle there for the lead towards the end?
I don't remember what I said on the radio in that moment. We can see immediately that he's back up to speed. He has a moment, scuffs the wall. He's back up to speed. We're looking at the data. Yeah, everything looks fine. A little bit of driver feedback at some point in that next few laps, and he just stepped over the limit a little bit, scuffed the wall, and I don't think there was any permanent damage, but.
And were you surprised early on in the race, at least, from how the car was responding with, I would dispute there was a lot less wind compared to what we saw at the start of the weekend. So did that catch you by surprise at all?
Certainly not by surprise. Kansas is one of the most wind-sensitive tracks, and, it tends to be windy in Kansas. So we're looking at that multiple times in the week leading up to the race. We're looking at it for practice, qualifying, and race conditions, and obviously the direction changed about 80 degrees today, and it dropped 7 miles per hour. So we considered what the impact of that could have been yesterday in practice, and how the different direction and wind magnitude would affect the car today.
And here's Ross Chastain, the winner of the Hollywood Casino 400, about the race, the victory, and the melon.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Day. Ross, I'm wondering, does it make it easier to eat the watermelon now that you don't have that beard anymore?
Well, I don't think any seeds stuck to the beard. They might have stuck to the skin, but no beard. But the watermelon, just I think I threw it harder than normal because it was pulverized. It was gone when it hit the ground out there on the front stretch.
And I want you to recall for me, obviously, you're battling Kyle hard. You make the move, you go to the lead, then you hit the wall. I asked Phil what he had said to you, but I'm wondering on your end, what's going through your mind there once you get the lead and then you kind of lose it? How do you have to recollect your thoughts there in the car?
It humbled me real quick. I thought I've kept enough pressure on Kyle, a guy that I've looked up to. We're not that different in age. I mean, we are, but not drastically. And I watched him when I was a kid in school, and he was racing in Cup. And so to get here now and race with him and know that I'm close enough to force him into an error, I clear him. In the very next lap, I hit the wall in almost the same spot. Was just I had to laugh in the car. I just couldn't believe that I did it because I watched him get into the corner. I watched him get in the fence. So our cars were identical though. When I put my car, I didn't realize it until after I hit the wall in the same scenario as Chevy teammates and key partners. Our cars, I'm sure there's differences, and I'm sure an engineer can make the case that it was drastically different, but on track, they looked really similar. And I did. I made a similar mistake that he did, which I'm proud of, because in the lead of a Cup race with less than, I don't know, was there 50 laps to go or something? I'm willing to run that close to the wall, which is really something that I'm proud of because I grew up clipping the grass. I grew up running as low as you could, stirred up for the guy behind to hit. Like, run the bottom. You always ran the bottom, and so to run the top is not natural. And I'm willing to hit the wall to win these races. And I was it didn't work out in that lap, but ultimately it worked out because I was comfortable with running the fence.